Good evening and welcome to the Ferguson Library. I'm Alice Knapp and I'm president of the library. As I continue to speak, please take this opportunity to silence your phones or to put them on vibrate. We don't want to interrupt the talk this evening because you're in for a real treat. And I'm also going to just take this opportunity to tell you about two upcoming events at the library. The first one is a novel affair, which is April 19th. That is our annual fundraiser. It's a fantastic evening if you've never been. We shut down the library at 4 and transform the first floor of the library into a beautiful space. We'll have several of my favorite restaurants will be here, including, let me see, there's going to be Tawa, Zaza's, you name it. If they're a good restaurant, they're going to be here that evening. And we'll be honoring Gail Malloy. She's the one who founded A Novel Affair 7 years ago, and we'll be honoring her for not only her work she's done with the library, but to the community. The second thing I wanted to mention, because I'm assuming if you're here, you might be a little bit interested in business, and the library has a new program. Tomorrow morning is its second one, and it's called Million Cups. It's a program sponsored by the Foundation for Entrepreneurs, and it's we invite entrepreneurs to come in and give a pitch, but it's not Shark Tank, it's more like a dolphin tank. So if you're interested at all, please see me afterwards. I'll give you more details. Finally, we've been doing the Civility series now since the fall of 2012 with our good friends at Hearst Media and the Dylan Schneider's group. And it is really our pleasure. These lectures are my favorite part of my job that I do. And I'm so lucky because I get to work with people like Joe Pisani. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Joe.
As they say, Alice, the pleasure is mine. Thank you. We have a very special treat for you tonight. Looking out into the audience, I see many baby boomers. And if you, like me, grew up in the 60s and the 70s, one thing that we always thought we wanted to do was change the world. We believed back then that we could make the world a better place. And the millennial generation in many ways shares that aspiration. And as you grow older and you pursue success, you lose that vision. Tonight we have a man who's retained that vision, who's invigorated that vision, and I'm sure you're going to thoroughly enjoy his talk. His Excellency Al-Dabbagh is author of Omnipreneurship, an organized approach to living a life of meaning, which offers a clear path toward improving our lives and the world. His model applies an entrepreneurial approach to all areas of life: work, family, community, health, finances, spirituality, and more. His Excellency is chairman and CEO of the Al-Dabbagh Group, a diversified conglomerate with companies in 60 countries. Founded in 1962 by his father, the conglomerate is well on its way toward the goal of being a top 20 wholly owned global family business by 2020. As steward of his family's heritage, he leads an initiative called Club 32. Its goal is to help the 32 members of the family's third generation, including his 5 own children, become global leaders in the areas of their greatest passions. His Excellency was governor of the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority for 8 years, and he had the rank of minister. His experience in the public sector is captured in his first book, Governpreneurship, Establishing a Thriving Entrepreneurial Spirit in Government, which features success stories of entrepreneurial practices in governments around the world. I'm sure you'd all agree, regardless of your political affiliation, that the United States could use this. His Excellency is a trustee of the Philadelphia-based Eisenhower Fellows, a member of the Cleveland Clinic International Leadership Board, and I'm sure you're well aware that the Cleveland Clinic is about the best there is, and the governor of London Business School. He's also the founder of the STARS Foundation, an organization committed to helping disadvantaged children worldwide. His initiatives include Philanthropy University, which offers free courses in conjunction with the Haas School of Business at the University of California. along with programs that invest in innovative solutions to help alleviate some of the world's most pressing challenges. By 2020, his goal is to impact 100 million people. His Excellency says, "An omnipreneur lives intentionally. An omnipreneur values integrity, passion, respect, forward thinking, and collaboration. An omnipreneur knows that life is a journey and that a holistic approach is required to support meaningful action at every turn." Now, you have copies of his book with you, and I'd like to just read a portion of a credit by the late David Rockefeller, Jr., chairman of the Rockefeller Foundation, who said, "If all families, NGOs, and businesses, indeed all of us, were to follow Al-Dabbagh's approach to intentional, collaborative, balanced living, the world would be a safer, happier, and more productive place." And I'm sure you agree that's something that we all want. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for being here today to listen to me, and I hope my talk will be of value. I would like also to take this opportunity and thank Bob Dylan Schneider for hosting me here today. I would like first to touch base upon the state of the world and why omnipreneurship is important today. The recent Foxham report that just been published in January about concentration of wealth shared some shocking statistics. 8 men on our planet have the same value of wealth as 3.7 billion people. 777 million people live on less than $2 per day. In the last 30 years, the bottom 50% of the global population have experienced zero growth in their income, whereas the top 1% of the global population have experienced over 300% growth in their income. So obviously the socioeconomic systems globally aren't delivering the impact we all hope to have. So we have a cocktail of challenges, poverty, conflicts, climate change, conflicts, health, and so on and so forth. So the solution is to start with ourselves as individuals and look at things with a lens of purpose and an inclusive lens. And that's more or less the theme of omnipreneurship. The difference between omnipreneurship and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a term that has been taken hostage by a very narrow definition: starting a business, creating value, and taking it public. Whereas omnipreneurship is a much more holistic and inclusive approach. So omnipreneurship is an approach to building a better world, to live a life of meaning, that consists of 3 principles, 5 values, and 10 golden rules. And they can be applied to all aspects of life: business, government, family, and the individuals. The ingredients of omnipreneurship consist of 3 principles, 5 values, 10 golden rules. The 3 principles are giving, earning, and sustaining. Everything we do in life is about giving, earning, and sustaining. We earn time, we earn respect, we earn knowledge, we give energy, we give compassion, we sustain our family, we sustain our health, we sustain our community, we sustain the planet. Everything we do in life is about giving, earning, and sustaining. The 5 values of omnipreneurship that an omnipreneur is governed with start with integrity. If it is not right, don't do it. If it is not true, don't say it. Very simple. The second value is passion. One person with passion is better than 40 people merely interested. The third value is respect. Respect for ourselves guides our morals. Respect for others guides our manners. And the fourth value is forward thinking. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And the last value is teamwork. Alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much. Now I will take you through the 10 golden rules. And these are the tools you use to turbocharge and to accelerate impact and success. The first golden rule is I aim, therefore I am. You start with the end in mind. And this is chapter 3 of the book. It is the first rule of the 10 golden rules. I would like to share the story of Diana Nayad, a swimmer who established a goal in her life when she was a teenager, to swim from Cuba to Florida, over 100 miles. She tried it when she was in her 20s, she failed. In her 30s, she failed. In her 40s, she failed. In her 50s, she also failed. When she reached 64, she decided to give it a shot. All her friends, her trainer, her physician told her it's physically impossible. At the age of 64, you cannot do it. On the 31st of August, 2013, 5 o'clock in the morning, she started her last swim. And she swam constantly, nonstop, for 55 hours until she reached the shores of Florida. So this is the power of establishing a goal and establishing a finish line. It creates what I called in the book the purifying pressure. In my family, we have created an initiative called Club 32. I have 32 nephews, nieces, including my 5 children. And we are promoting the importance of setting goals. But not only one goal, like Diana Nayad's goals, 10 goals in different aspects of life: personal, recreation, health, family, friends, spiritual, community, career, and financial. Each and every one of these goals is either giving, earning, or sustaining. This is our template. And this is the vision and the mission and the definition of Club 32. The gentleman on the top left-hand corner is my father. He was fortunate to be given a scholarship in 1960 by the Eisenhower Fellowship. He was the first Arab to come to the States, and he spent with my mother 6 months traveling from one state to the other, visiting centers of excellence in areas that are of interest to him, agriculture and livestock. And the whole journey ended up in the Oval Office. We still have a picture with President Eisenhower in 1960. That trip was a life-changing experience for my parents. And he returned and shifted his goals from public service to entrepreneurship. And he started the family business in 1962. And we have maintained this ecosystem that I like to call omnipreneurship, that I will talk more about. But the whole idea of the life plan is to set goals. life goals, midterm goals, in our case here 2020, and annual goals that we refresh on an annual basis. And we have a reward system based on a traffic light system. On a quarterly basis, we give awards to those who achieve most goals among the Club 32ers. The second golden rule is the greatest among you. It is important we surround ourselves with uplifting people, because sad people, happy people would have influence on you. Sadness is contagious. Happiness is also contagious. There is a study conducted by University of Harvard about the sources of happiness. And one of the main sources of happiness is the people you socialize with and the people you surround yourself with. In addition to that, of course, having goals and living a meaningful life. Financial resources and power were not included on the list as sources of happiness. The third golden rule is exceptional execution. A study was conducted on Fortune 500 companies, and 80% of the leaders were extremely happy with the strategies they had in place. But only 20% were happy with the implementation and the execution of these strategies. So it's very important, whether it's an organization or a nation or an individual, to not only have goals and life plans or strategies, but also to have execution plans and ensure that all ingredients and elements fall into place and work like a clockwork. The next golden rule is imagine the next big thing. And this rule is about disrupting the status quo and always applying a criteria of scalability, sustainability, impact, and game-changing to introduce the next big thing. In my case, we challenge ourselves in all our activities, whether giving, earning, or sustaining, in terms of what would be the next big thing. So the latest thing we introduced was the so-called Philanthropy University. And Philanthropy University is taking advantage of the power of technology and the MOOC revolution, the massive open online courses. So we introduced Philanthropy University in September 2015, and it is the free online, it's the first free online education platform targeting NGOs in the global south. There are millions of charities and NGOs around the world supporting 2 billion people. But there isn't a single dedicated free education platform available for leaders in social sector and leaders of NGOs. We introduced this program or this initiative online in September 2015. We were hoping to secure few hundreds in the first cycle. We ended up in the 5th week with 450,000 enrollments from 190 countries, of which 70% matched our targeted profile. We are incubating the whole initiative in UC Berkeley Haas. And those who graduate from Philanthropy University and complete the foundational curriculum gets a certificate of leadership in social sector from both UC Berkeley and Philanthropy University. Honey as money. This is one of my favorite rules. I know a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Geely. Jeremy Geely asked himself one day, what if the world stops violence and conflicts just for 24 hours? And he wrote to the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations about the idea. And he liked the idea and gave him an appointment to see him in New York. Jeremy lives in London. But he didn't have the means to fly and meet with the Under-Secretary of the United Nations in New York. So he wrote to the CEO of British Airways and explained the idea and asked for sponsorship. The CEO of British Airways liked the idea, gave him a ticket to New York. He borrowed his friend's suit, his grandfather's tie, and flew to New York. The UN liked the idea, but they told him, to pass a resolution, we need the support of 2 countries. So he lobbied in the UK and Costa Rica. And they approved and they passed the resolution that the 21st of September of every year will be a Peace One Day. And he started his work in 2004, and in 2005, he convinced the American forces in Afghanistan and the Taliban to put their arms down only for 24 hours on the 21st of September 2005. And in that day, they succeeded to deliver vaccination for children in various regions of Afghanistan. They reached 2 million children in that day, and they supplied them with vaccination against polio. Today, Peace One Day has impacted 1 billion people globally. And it's a day to stop bullying in schools, to stop violence and conflicts. He started the whole initiative as an idea. So this is the power of great ideas. This is the currency of ideas and innovation. So you don't need big financial resources to impact 1 billion people. You only need a great idea, determination to get it done. The next golden rule is design organically. Our first, as a family, philanthropic initiative was called the STARS Impact Award. We celebrated in 2016 the 10th anniversary of this award. It is designed to support NGOs in the countries with the highest under 5 mortality rate. So we pick the crème de la crème, the stars of the local NGOs, supporting disadvantaged children in areas of protection, education, health, and water, sanitation, hygiene. And we provide them with 3 products. Unrestricted funding, which is a rare commodity in the philanthropic space, capacity building through training and consultancy, and brand equity enhancement through PR and communication. And the beauty of this program, and that's what we need to see more in the philanthropic space, as you might know, unfortunately, 50% of global giving or more is religion-driven. This is a religion-free initiative, and it so far has reached over 140 NGOs with a population of 5 million disadvantaged children. And the children represent all kinds of backgrounds and religions. If we look at things when we give from an inclusive perspective, I think this will contribute to building a better world. The next golden rule is collaborate to accelerate. When I was in public service, I had the privilege to meet with late Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. And I was really fascinated by the Singapore experience and achievements. And I asked Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew, how did you manage to take the whole nation from a third world country to a first world country in 20 years? So he said, let me share a story with you. A Southeast Asian country, the leader of that country invited his advisors and told them, I have a great idea. We need to produce a documentary on our country because not many people around the world know our country. Great. Not only that, I will be personally involved in this project. Fantastic. Not only that, I will be the script writer because not many people understand the various details of our culture like me. Great. Not only that, I will be the lead actor because my features can reflect the true people of our nation. Fantastic. Not only that, I will be the cameraman because I can see certain angles not many people see. So he kept on describing all the roles he is going to play, and nothing left for anyone among his advisors. And he said Singapore is totally different. Singapore is about members of orchestra, that they are so synchronized, they are all on the same wavelength, and I'm only the maestro. But the power of Singapore is attracting the right people and create the harmony and the chemistry among them, and have them all be on the same page, same wavelength. That's the power of Singapore, and that's what has made Singapore what it is today. The next golden rule is delight the stakeholder. And it's about pampering whether our customers or our partners or our shareholders, our stakeholders, our family members. When I was in public service, I tried to personalize the service as much as possible. I was running an investment promotion agency. And I still remember vividly a Chinese investor applying for an investment license. And we issued him an investment license, and we gave him number 8888, which is a very lucky number in Chinese culture. And the color of the investment license was red. And we gave him the license in Chinese and flew to Beijing and handed it over to him. The commitment of the company as appreciation for the personalized service was beyond expectations. They quadrupled their investments in 5 years. So delighting the stakeholder is a critical golden rule of omnipreneurship. No risk, no gain. When I was in public service, I took the risk of launching a totally new city, bigger than Washington, D.C., developed by the private sector, and we floated it in the stock exchange from day one. It is the only city in the world that is traded in the stock exchange. And we empowered the developers. Last year, the seaport of this city was ranked among the top 3 fastest growing seaports in the world. And we introduced this product as an agent of change, socially and economically. So we took a great risk in that project, but it has paid dividends. Now, taking risk is important, and it is a key rule to use in omnipreneurship. The last rule is share your story. And sharing your story is critical to accelerate your success and get things done. I've been going to Cleveland Clinic Foundation since the mid-'80s. I was accompanying my parents until the late 90s. My father suffered from Parkinson, my mother had cardiac problems. And Cleveland Clinic was a typical dull, depressing, cold hospital. Until 2004, when a great cardiologist by the name of Toby Coscroft took over the leadership of Cleveland Clinic Foundation. And a few years later, I joined their leadership board. He transformed the hospital entirely. It's a different space altogether. You walk in, you don't feel you are in a hospital. You feel you are in a resort, in a hotel, in an art gallery. The impact he has made has been phenomenal. Back then, Cleveland Clinic was leader in cardiac disease, but now they are leaders in at least a dozen specialties. One of Toby Coscroft's great qualities is communication and sharing stories. So one of his messages was to promote empathy and to ensure that everyone in the hospital puts him or herself in someone else's shoes. So this clip I'm going to play is one of his various communication that has built a great culture in the organization. So I have taken you through the recipe and the ingredients of omnipreneurship, the 3 principles, the 5 values, and the 10 golden rules. And I would encourage you to read the book and be the next omnipreneurs to contribute in building a better world. Thank you.
Your Excellency.
You're very welcome.
Tremendous. Thank you very much. We have time for a few questions.
I've never heard of you before, and I'm really amazed, but how do you handle this with one person or the 32 members of your family? I mean, we know what the Bill Gates Foundation is doing, but it seems like you're doing a lot of things that I've seen on TV and everything else. But how, like, for example, the education thing. You have a lot of workers for you, or volunteers, or what?
Well, in terms of our giving and philanthropic activities, since 1962, we have maintained as a family a 1-to-1 ratio. For every dollar we distribute as dividend, we match it with a philanthropic dollar. So when I receive my dividend check, I sign simultaneously a statement giving back an equivalent amount. Giving to us is so important, and it unites us more than earning as a family. And this is something that my father promoted in the family, and he was against leaving an endowment behind because he was worried about the future generations not practicing giving, relying on this endowment that sits somewhere. And he wanted everyone to practice giving, because that's the source of unity in a family. You know, in family businesses, there is a say that first generation makes the business, second generation milks the business, and third generation auctions the business. 97% of family businesses globally don't make it beyond the third generation, not because of business-related matters, because of conflict among family members. So in addition to the culture we are trying to promote through Club 32, we also have what we call family protocol. It consists of 24 chapters dealing with the grassroots causes of family businesses moving from making to milking to auctioning. But how to do all this? It's applying omnipreneurship. I aim, therefore I am, setting goals, making sure that things are executed efficiently, that's exceptional execution, getting the right people, that's the greatest among you, partnering with the right people, that is collaborate to accelerate, and so on and so forth. So omnipreneurship as a philosophy is very powerful and very impactful, and I migrated omnipreneurship from business to public service to philanthropy to family, and it has paid dividends wherever we took it.
What a wonderful presentation and summary of such a fine structure for business. You know, we're having a lot of conversations in the United States these days, and I suppose in other parts of the world, about capitalism and what the right reforms are for capitalism and so on. As you've traveled around the world, you operate in 60 different countries. Do you have any advice as to, you know, you must operate in fully free economic environments, controlled economic environments, combinations of both of those. Do you find that one or the other, or several of those, perhaps lends itself more to this type of development and sets up the structure that makes it workable? Because you need to encourage free flow of capital and the availability of a legal structure that makes this work, and then you operate all these different things. But you just seem to have a wonderful perspective on the world, and I wonder if you can give us any further advice on that.
Sure. Well, I think one of the advantages we have is a very decentralized structure. And this is the golden rule: design organically. It is important to have a decentralized structure to succeed in multi-markets and multi-cultures. Do as the Romans do. So if you are in Thailand, you need to have a value proposition that looks and feel Thai. even in our giving, we respect and trust the stars of the local NGOs. We don't do it our way. We don't link our donation to do it our way, because best solutions are homegrown solutions. Otherwise, it will be like intellectual imperialism. And unfortunately, 60% of global giving is restricted. So 70% of the time and energy of local NGOs is spent on how they look like what the donors want them to look like, which may not be the optimal solution for the local problems. So I think respecting the locals, respecting the local solutions, and trusting the locals is one way to succeed in different markets. The other, I think, important thing, the fact that you are a purpose-driven company makes all the difference at the end of the day. By 2020, 50% of the global workforce will be millennials. 60% of millennials prefer to work for purpose-driven companies than a bigger check. So being a purpose-driven company makes all the difference at the end of the day in terms of attracting talents and also supporting our products and services. If we take Unilever as an example, Unilever has thousands of different products. The products that stand for a purpose grow 5 times faster than the other products. So as Paul Polman, who gave me the foreword for the book, says, we need in today's world 2 things, leaders and trees. And basically, these are really the 2 things we need. We need to protect our planet, and we need great leaders to make all the difference. What Toby Coscroft has done in Cleveland Clinic Foundation, from being the #1 in one specialty in the 80s, cardiac, to at least a dozen specialties today, one person can make all the difference.
Thank you. It was indeed a very enlightening presentation, and you're doing amazing work. And what you just said, one person can make a difference, and the more people that you and others like you can convert to your way of thinking will make a great difference. You must deal with I do in my line of work, with people that are very wealthy that don't think like you, that don't understand the incredible rewards of philanthropy. Have you been able to convert some of those people to this type of thinking? And if you have, how do you do it?
Yes, I introduced a forum called the Philanthropreneurship Forum. I move it from one city to the other every year. And I invite business, government, social, and NGO leaders to this forum to discuss and debate the next generation of entrepreneurial practices that can be applied to philanthropy for scalability, sustainability, and impact, and shed some light on the benefits of being involved in philanthropy and being inclusive. There is no viable business case in poverty. And if we allow the world to head south and allow the gap to widen and allow climate change to affect everything negatively, we'll all lose. So it is important to wear an inclusive lens. When I talk about sustainability, we look at sustainability with the lens of the 4 Ps. Profit, because you need to fuel your giving with profit. Philanthropy, people, and planet. So these are the 4 Ps we pay attention to in terms of sustainability. And companies that pay attention to the broader or the bigger picture and are more inclusive and purpose-driven are the ones that win on the long term. And that's what we are trying to promote in the Philanthropreneurship Forum. We attract about 350 people every year to our forum. The next one is in September 2018. We've just had one in Vienna. Last year was in France, in Versailles, and the one before was in London. So we are moving it to learn first, because we need to be aggressive listeners if we want to make a difference. So we move it from one place to another to learn from the hosting city and attract people from all over the world to debate these issues. So the next one will be in Rome.
This is a massive project, and how do you manage it, and how do you select areas where you can put your wealth and your interests in order to control the development and give it some direction?
Well, in terms of giving, we shifted our giving in 2001 from a checkbook philanthropy to strategic philanthropy. So we pay attention to impact and we measure impact. So our philanthropic dollar is becoming smarter and smarter. And that's why, for instance, we headquartered Philanthropy University in the Bay Area, in the West Coast, to leverage the power of technology, leveraging technology for good. So Philanthropy University is a byproduct of the fourth industrial revolution, I would call it. We are taking advantage of allowing millions of social workers and leaders of NGOs in the slums of Nairobi and the slums of Rio de Janeiro, in India, Bangladesh, to access our platform. And accessibility, as of Q3 this year, where we are revamping Philanthropy University and introducing 2.0, will not only be through laptops, but also phones, and accessibility will become even easier for our targeted audience. So everything we do is governed by the first golden rule. I aim, therefore I am. Our goal by 2020 is to impact 100 million people around the world through our various philanthropic platforms. And that's what influences how we go about doing it, the kind of people, the kind of resources we allocate. We have a ratio of 1-to-1, and that is what's supporting our philanthropic activities. In terms of earning activities, they are products of strategic planning and, again, finish lines that we would like to achieve. So our earning is governed by a finish line capsulized in two numbers, 20 by 20. We'd like to be among the top 20 wholly owned global family businesses by 2020. And we look at engines of growth that can take us to that finish line, and sectors that can contribute to reaching that finish line. So everything is governed by our first golden rule, I aim, therefore I am. Everything, we establish the finish line first, and then we work backward.
Tonight. Your presentation is just wonderful. I was wondering if you could possibly give us a brief profile of the cousins, the 32 cousins. What is the age range? What is some of their interests? What are they studying in school? Are some more interested in medicine or social work or possibly technology or mathematics or engineering? Just a brief profile of the cousins.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have 6 siblings. And the third generation is 32, so that's a ratio of 4.5. So generation 4, applying the same ratio, will be 150. And if you apply the same ratio, generation 5 will be over 700 members. And that's why it's important for us to promote this ecosystem and this culture. It's a mindset. We have a family protocol co-signed by the first generation, the founders, the second generation, the 7 siblings. We have just incorporated 31 of the 32 members of the third generation, because number 32 is 5 years old. So he's not eligible yet to co-sign the family protocol. But the age ranges from 5 to 42. We discourage family members. One of the 24 chapters is about family involvement of family members in management of our earning and giving activities. Because we would like the right people to work in our earning and giving activities. And we have a criteria for family members that would like to join the management, but it's a tough criteria. For instance, they need to have the right requirements and qualifications, but a minimum 5 years experience outside any of the family businesses or philanthropic platforms. The reason why, because we are governed by finish lines. And a professional, if he or she does not perform, he or she expects to be fired. But you cannot fire a brother or a sister or a daughter or a cousin, because the problems will go from work to home. And our main objective is to maintain happiness and unity. We meet generation 2 and 3 every Friday. We have lunch together. So that is what we care for, is to be together and maintain happiness. So we asked ourselves, are we interested in management or maintaining the ecosystem of giving and value creation through our earning platforms? And the whole idea is to be responsible stakeholders of this ecosystem. But if someone wants really to join, we have a criteria. But if at the end of the day he or she does not perform, they have to go. And that's why we discourage from the beginning any of the family members to be involved. We also have a chapter on in-laws. There is a joke about in-laws in family businesses. They call them outlaws, because sometimes they could be a source of tension. Therefore, you need to integrate them, and you have to make them feel like part of this ecosystem. You cannot isolate them. They will be then a source of tension. Unless you incorporate them, they could create some challenges on the long run. I mean, let's remember the ratio of 4.5, 7 siblings and their spouses is easy to manage. But when you talk about 32 plus their spouses, 150 plus their spouses, 700 plus their spouses, you're talking about a much bigger number. And therefore, it's important to have such an ecosystem that everybody subscribes to. But what is more important than the protocol and the 24 chapters is Club 32, which is about mindset and culture and grooming future generations to be responsible stakeholders of this ecosystem.
One more question.
It seems like your establishment, your organization is all family-based. And an entrepreneur has an obligation to that's not part of a family, has obligations to its shareholders. They may not be invested in this philosophy of giving. How does one replicate what you have if it's not a family business?
Well, first of all, giving should not be restricted to monetary giving. My mother taught me that smiling is a form of giving. If you help an old person cross the street, is a form of giving. We like to feed animals. We go to parks and feed birds. This is a form of giving. So you don't need to have financial resources to give. That's one thing. The other thing, how to convince shareholders that it's important to look after the planet and it's important to give. Giving and looking after the planet is a source of value creation. And if you take Unilever as a company, as an example. And I'm using Unilever as an example because the CEO of Unilever gave me the foreword to the book. So he convinced the shareholders not to have quarterly reports, which is very unusual. I mean, financial analysts live on these quarterly reports, because looking at quarterly reports only will make you a short-term player, and that may not be the ultimate value creation. But if you are a long-term player, you need to pay attention to planet, to philanthropy, to people, as well as profit. And as I said, in the case of Unilever, their products that stand for a purpose grow 5 times faster than the products that don't. Let's not forget the millennials look at things differently. They are purpose-driven mostly. They like to work for purpose-driven organizations, and they like also mostly to go for products that stand for a purpose. So there is money to be made for being good. It's not a PR. CSR is something I would like to get rid of, corporate social responsibility, because unfortunately it is a PR for so many organizations. It's a standalone activity. I'm a commissioner on the UN Commission for Sustainability and Business Development. And we have published the first report of the Commission in January and identified opportunities correlated to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations that were launched in September 2015, worth $12 trillion from now until 2030, all in sustainable related activities in 4 sectors: cities, energy, food and agriculture, and health and well-being. So being good is profitable. Protecting the planet and supporting your people is profitable. Being inclusive is the ultimate value creation. So it's no more, our business has been around for more than 55 years. And the more we give, the more we earn. Our earning and dividend checks have always been going up, although we have this ratio of 1-to-1. So giving never dilutes earning. So I think this is the philosophy that CEOs need to promote with their shareholders and stakeholders.
Your Excellency, thank you for a very powerful talk. Please. May 23rd will be our next talk, the head of the Pierre Hotel, about civility and luxury hotels. You got a packed room.